What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. This is a book review slash video essay. Was supposed to only be a book review, but what can I say? Let's get it. Okay, so the book that we're talking about is Algospeak: How Social Media is Transforming the Future of Language. This was an interesting book, but as I was reading it, I couldn't help but think about where I fit in all of this and where content creators in general fit in this, and BookTube and Bookstagram and stuff like that. So this book really made me think about how creators, like content creators and influencers, are shaped, sometimes subtly, sometimes overtly, by algorithms and censorship, and just the rules of operating in certain online spaces. And so, yeah, let's talk about it. Algorithms reshape language. It like blends cultures, sometimes in a positive way, sometimes in a negative way. Mixes creativity and like shifts identity, whether we notice it or not. Okay, so the book, basically, the author is an etymologist. And if you don't know, etymology is basically the study of word origins and how they shift over time, looking at language as a living organism. Okay, so first let's start off with the general overview of the book. The book is basically what the title says. It's talking about how social media is changing and affecting the future of language. How certain things that were like indicative that you were chronically online, how they're showing up in offline spaces, how certain words, like slang words, actually become official words, how there is a certain, how language can shift based on spaces, like how there's an influencer kind of way to speak, how that kind of moves over, how there's a YouTube entertainer type way to speak, how you could code switch into this like educational type way to speak, and how that language like then is used by content creators, by influencers and people like that to actually shift, manipulate. I say manipulate not like always in a negative way, but evoke some kind of response from you to kind of retain your attention. We all know about clickbait, rage bait, things like that. And then it kind of brought up the idea of filter bubbles and echo chambers. So we're going to get into why I'm making this video in the first place. One, the book was interesting. I can't say that any of the information was like brand new to me. I didn't know about some of the origins of some of the words that we use today, like okay, and some like history of current words that I hear. So that was new. But the general concept of being shaped and affected by censorship and algorithms is what I want to talk about as it relates to like being a book creator and just a creator in general, and as it relates to a consumer, like somebody just watching, because we're on both sides. So one thing I want to bring up is the author made it clear that a lot of the meme type, viral type language was derived from smaller groups that typically don't get the credit. So sometimes black people, sometimes gay people. He was talking about how that related to specific niche communities like the K-pop community, or like other communities like the autism community, how these words were shaped for that community and by that community to kind of be a safe space, and then it kind of got into mainstream language through virality. And it almost lost its meaning, for one. Then people don't know where it came from, for two. And then the meaning of it also can shift. Like the same words that were used as terms of endearment or words that were used to convey something in this community can then be used as a slur. It can be used in a negative way. And what was good over here can be transformed over here and made into something negative. And so you see this with creators borrowing content, borrowing identity, borrowing trends, not knowing where it came from, to survive online because that's what people want to see. That's what's viral. But it brings up the point of ownership and credit and value. And I feel like that is, even though people are aware of that, I still feel like it's kind of missing from the overall landscape of social media, which is a weird landscape to navigate anyways. And then it brought up the idea of people's attention spans, which we know this, but literally how it affects our actual language. Like, people are expecting you to talk faster. People are expecting you to inflect your words in certain places to be more interesting. I actually had somebody tell me that my videos would do better if I had more personality and if I talked faster. But this is my personality and this is how I talk. But you know what? I don't think that person was wrong. Like, if I did present this persona and like I'm just, which would be very draining. But if I did present this super like big bubbly persona and I got like this, all this action going and I'm speaking fast and I'm cutting out all of my breaks and pauses, yes, I do think that would keep people's attention more. But at the same time, it is a persona. And I'm not saying it's wrong to put on a persona. I'm saying it's draining for me. But it makes me think about what the expectation is from viewers based on what we've been conditioned to receive and give. Because it's a two-way street between creators and consumers. Another thing that he brought up is how online spaces accelerate language. Like, this has always been a thing, okay? This has always been a thing, but online spaces just accelerate that, and then they almost discard what it was to start with. So it accelerates the process. So social media speeds up language evolution. And this mirrors the past. Like I said, it's not new. TV, radio, music, newspapers, you name it. It's been around. But it was just interesting to think about, because he made it a good point to talk about like how the different generations kind of see this space and operate in this space. And I thought it was interesting. And even how generations are even a thing, period. Like how we're grouped and defined by this shared experience of what is a generation. Okay, so yeah, he mentioned things like how words like unalived came to be instead of, and I can see it. To be honest, he made some good points, because I can see how frustrating that can be when, okay, this is like two or threefold. One, with words like unalive, I get to a certain extent, like trying to put your content out and avoid censorship. You want more people to see your content. You want to speak to your actual audience. You don't want to be censored. So you play the game. But that's always like a teetering act to me, because you censor yourself on purpose because you know you're being censored. The only way you're going to perform on their platform is to censor yourself. So you do it. You censor yourself. But then there's other stuff you do too. So, okay, the only way people want to hear what you say is if you speed up what you say. So you do that. The only way you're going to get people's attention is clickbait or rage bait. So you do that. The only way is if you're bubbly. So you do that. At what point is it disingenuous? I guess that point is different for every single person, but that's what I was thinking, like. And I can even see how it could be offensive if somebody, like, he mentioned this somebody's grave or funeral or something. Somebody put on a sign like this person was unalived. But while it is censorship, and while it was done intentionally to avoid censorship, which there's been plenty of examples of that in the past, it also lessens the severity of what it is too. To me, like if you say, this person was unalived by her. This person's like when I was reading Memorial Drive, and you say, oh yeah, her stepdad unalived her mom versus her stepdad murdered her mom. It's like two totally different things. Or if you leave like a grape emoji instead of saying rape, it just seems like and it's not even for shock value. It's it's just like an emphasis thing. And it's kind of like the same way you would use other words. Anyways, I'm kind of getting off. The point is, I feel like this give and take, I always think like, is it worth it? And yes, also, this all over the place because I'm thinking about it as I'm making this video. But I also think like things are different. Well, I don't know. For some people, things are different when social media is your livelihood. When that's how you eat, pay your bills, put food on the table. That's another kind of like thing that you have to contend with. There are still people who don't depend on social media that do the same type of thing because you want more followers, you want more money, you want more, whatever the case is. But I do think you're willing to give up more freedom, so to speak, when that's your number one. You dependent on that. Like, that's how you feed your family. That's how you paying these bills. And you got to pay the bills. And then you got other people on the other side that almost like rebel against like cutting out every single part of their breaks, against trying to always captivate somebody's attention and trying to optimize maximum viewership. And people that's always like, I need to hook you, I need to do this, I need to do that. I need to manipulate your emotions. Actually, let me read you this quote because I have it in here. I was like, yeah. It's an unfortunate reality that all influencers somehow manipulate your emotions to go viral, since we're all competing for your attention and we know that your attention is tied to your emotions. Yeah. Yeah, it's always like you can rebel, but you're going 9 times out of 10 your content is going to suffer. You know what I mean? And then this brings up another idea of critiquing something that you're a part of. I feel like most people understand doom scrolling. Most people know that what clickbaiting is, what rage baiting is, how your emotions are probably manipulated. Most people understand what it is to be in an echo chamber and a filter bubble, or at least if it's brought up to them and brought to their attention, they're like, oh yeah, I can see that. But we're all complicit in this like system. I make book videos now. I used to make other content too. Anyways, I make book content now. To be a part of an online community. He also talks about online communities and labels and stuff like that. But anyways, to be a part of the online community, to get engagement with the people that I want to engage with, pretty much. They care about my content. They care about books and reading and literacy and all that. But I'm putting stuff out there, and I'm subconsciously or consciously, it doesn't matter, like, I'm like, oh, does this look nice? Does this come across this way? Well, people want to see that. And when you do a thumbnail, you're like, is the text catchy? Like, is it this? Is it that? And then you get to a point where I do, where I'm almost like, again, like you want to like rebel against it and just be like, look, you think it's boring, then the video not for you. I don't know what else to say or do, you know? So it's kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. Another thing that this brought up is, again, I don't feel like people are ignorant to this fact. It's just become the norm. You know, the fact that we are being programmed in some way, always have been. Again, before social media, it was any other kind of media. It was any other kind of like centralized thought that controls, you know, narratives. But how people say like my algorithm knows me so well. That's twofold. Like, it does pick up on your cues and what you're interested in and stuff like that. But what you're getting to start with is stuff that has a potential for virality. So it's like twofold. Yes, it knows you well, but think about what you get on your algorithm and when shopping and stuff like that. You're getting yes, stuff that's interesting to you that you would like, but it's only a portion of it. And you keep getting that piece. Like if you like book stuff, yeah, you probably will get book related content. But what if you also like, I don't know, classical music, and you like this, and you like architecture? I don't know. So many other of your other interests of yours, they're not showing up in these spaces too. And so it's like, yeah, your algorithm knows you well, or is it you think you're training your algorithm? But it's not quite like that. It is to a certain extent, but not like that. He talked about how this book kind of brought up the fact of how community, like I mentioned, I'm in the book community now, how community can kind of flatten nuance. There are certain rules, there are certain like expectations when you join online communities and spaces, for example, and they all have like it's like it is a community. Their own rules, their own set of standards, kind of their own language, own slang, and a shared set of not values, a shared set of interests for sure, and almost a shared set of kind of sort of values surrounding this one thing. That was interesting to think about because in the book community, and he mentioned how it's kind of different across different platforms, but at the same time, they all kind of like connect together. Because when I look at the YouTube book community versus Instagram book community versus TikTok, there's a collective interest, but I feel like the priorities are different across all three. The community is slightly shifted across all three. And even if a person is present in one, two, or three of them, they kind of show up differently in different spaces because, I mean, they're the same person, but I mean, like, I don't know, like, it's slightly different. And because, again, there's a certain set of norms and standards expected. So then you have a paradox. You want to reject labels. The same people that want to reject labels also need, want, yearn for community, which is a label. You have individuality versus conformity in these groups. Okay, so overall, what I'm trying to say is creators can mold themselves to the algorithm, but at what cost? I look at myself and I think like some stuff just feels so disingenuous for me to do, but I'll actively watch somebody else do that same thing. And I'm just like, yeah, that's what they want to do. Cool. I don't know. It's just social media is interesting. And then it's gotten to a point where I want to be on Instagram some days. I want to see like what my friends posting. I want to go on there and like just see what's going on, what people reading, the music attached to it. And every 2 stories, I'm getting like 3 ads. And then I'm so annoyed. I just close the app after a couple minutes because I'm like, stop forcing these stuff down our throat. I don't care. Stop trying to force me to look at these ads. I don't want to see it. I don't. It's so annoying. I don't know. There's like these invisible rules, and then you gotta keep it real, but at the same time, you gotta read what these people want over here. So I don't have a TikTok, but like TikTok will want you need to read these type of books. You need to be diverse in this way. You need to show up this way. And then Instagram is like, you need to do this and post these types of books, and you need to make sure it's these, and you need to do this and that. And then you got YouTube, and it's a whole different set of things. And it's just kind of like, I feel like, and I'm only speaking for me, but you can get the person how they come, and then the people that like it can stay or they can go, or you get this like polished, curated version for that particular platform. So when I'm on Instagram, you get XYZ, and it's kind of just like, at what point is it just like, dude, take it or leave it? This a lot. It's a lot to go back and forth. And he mentioned, which I agree with, it is like a form of code switching. Like you really do have to. He was talking about he turn on his like influencer voice or like turn on his whatever, because it changes your cadence. It can change the speed again in which you talk. It can change how you say what you say to avoid having certain pauses in certain places. And it's beyond like public speaking, I think. It's more like, again, I'm trying to keep your attention because it's hard to keep people's attention. So yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisy in that too. Again, creators are also consumers. So I mentioned earlier about the complexity of critiquing something that you're a part of, critiquing something that you directly benefit from and engage in. And if you're operating on social media, you're affected whether you put out content or not because you're consuming it. You are in this infrastructure and ecosystem, and it's something. It's something. That's why it's good to unplug at times, but I'm getting off track again. But anyways, yeah, I also think about like the idea, again, I'm rambling. This ain't got no kind of, also this is, this is not good for content creation either. Coming up here without a script, a plan, whatever. But I'm just thinking of this as I'm saying it to make this video for y'all like freshly because I just finished this book last night. It makes me think about how there's a strong push for like organic content and authentic content, and people want to see you be organic and authentic and be yourself, just show up in yourself, like show up as yourself. But I feel like people don't want that. They want something easily digestible. They want something still curated to make you seem like you're authentic. You know how you can show people like a group of women and they'll be like, they're all so natural, but really that natural look has like a full face of makeup. That's what people want. They want it to seem like you're authentic, seem like you're organic, and this is, grassroots content. But at the same time, it's heavily edited, scripted, made up. And that's what they want. They actually want that. Viewers actually want you to get to it, step your editing game up. But that's a lot. Who wouldn't do that? And then you think also algorithms push simplicity over complexity. They want something that's simple, easy to digest because it's quicker to go viral too. And it's going to keep people on the app longer. And so you think about like the same thing with, I've heard this conversation so many times about books and publishing, how they also now favor more simplicity over complexity. And the guy in the book mentioned how if Harry Potter was a TikTok series, it would do well. Current day, if it came out as a TikTok series, it would do well, like for the first time. But if something more complex like Ulysses came out, it wouldn't. It's too complex. Like it wouldn't do well. People will scroll immediately because it's too much. It's too much complexity. It's too much you got to think about. It's too much nuance. And then the seconds that you have to get somebody's attention, it wouldn't do well. And it's a great book, So it's just kind of like they're seeing the same thing in publishing too. So I don't know. I'm just on here talking. This again, it was supposed to be a book review, but it turned into a rant. Think about how online spaces, what used to be able to be gate kept, so gatekeeping used to be doable, is becoming harder. And I'm saying that like it's always a good thing. There's pros and cons to both sides, but some things should be gate kept or kept within the community, and some things, it's good that it kind of reaches a global or international scale. And it's harder to do that and then again, people don't know where it came from. They don't know what it truly means. It waters it down and then discards it when it's no longer trendy or in. And get weaponized, used as like a test. People then, not only do they not know where it comes from, they then claim it for themselves. And so you got like a Christopher Columbus type thing going on with something that's already been around in this black group for this long, or this gay group for this long, or this whatever group for this long. And it's important to them. You just come and like take it and be like, yeah, I'm the creator of it. Okay, I guess. Okay, so in conclusion, this is a video essay. In conclusion, what do we do now besides recognize it? I don't know. I've been thinking about that. Like, creators have this like relationship with the algorithm where they need it to a certain degree, but also they can shape it to a certain degree as well. So I think the best thing, like, to me, I'm not telling nobody else what to do, but when I think about it, I'm thinking about how to like ethically go about content creation. I feel like I already go about it this way, but it really like made me want to double down on that, where it's like I don't know, showing up as best as I can as myself, and then that's not gonna be for everybody, and that's cool. And then like not trying to manipulate people's emotions just so they can click on my video or just so they can do XYZ. And then also putting out content that I like, stuff that I already do this, but it really made me think like, yeah, you know, because I've thought about putting out other stuff that I don't like, because I'm like, that's what people want to see. I think nobody has ever said we want to see XYZ, but I see that in general, people who would watch my videos also want to see XYZ. And it's like, it's good because you're thinking about like growth and strategy and how to like maximize, you know, viewers and retention. So a certain part of that is good, but when it aligns with your goals and who you are. So I'm not saying you can't do that or I can't do that. I can, as long as it's in alignment with who I am. So yeah, that's it. It was a book review. Yes, but no, but yes. It's an interesting book. I actually saw this posted first on Instagram. I can't remember who posted it. Somebody posted it on Instagram. And I said, dang, that kind of sounds interesting. And so I got it. It was actually really good. Checked it out from the library, so I don't have it. That's why the picture, you know, is up there. But yeah. So I'm going to leave with this. Language has always evolved, but now it's at the speed of profit. It's evolving faster for that dollar bill. People's attention spans are shorter. We knew this. And it affects all participants. So the question is, are we shaping the future of language, or is the algorithm shaping us? See y'all on the next one.